Look, it's a tiny kingdom under the kitchen sink.
Look, Spud, you want to get yourself killed by Callie? That's none of my business. You want to poison yourself with household products? It's also none of my business.
The Secret Kingdom is about a 90s kid who gets sucked into a tiny kingdom under his parents' kitchen sink, where a group of rebels fights against the religious-centric ruling class who perform experimental surgeries on their subjects in an attempt to make them more perfect. This somehow came out of someone's head, made it onto a screenplay, and was greenlit by a production company. This movie was obviously straight to VHS or DVD or whatever. It came out in 1998. Now, before we even started watching it, I was thinking, okay, it's probably an Indian in the Cupboard spoof. Because Indian in the Cupboard came out, I think, in 95. But this one came out in 98. So 3 years later, not really riding on the coat heels, is that a real word? Coattails. Coattails is the word I'm looking for. But it's nothing like it, so I don't know what this movie is trying to be. The kid looks under the kitchen sink and he's like, oh, there's a little kingdom under there. And you see cans of spray and detergent and all the kinds of things you keep under a kitchen sink. But there's a city there, and I'm thinking, has nobody noticed this until now? Did the parents just set those things up and said, oh, look at that in there?
The way they set this up is everybody opens the cupboard, looks in, and they're like, there's a little kingdom under there, as though nobody's opened the cupboard in like 10 years or something.
Okay, what's the trick?
No trick. There's a tiny kingdom under the sink.
It's implied that they've been there for a long time, as in ages. They've been there enough time for people to form two different religious sects based on the people who believe in the sun and the sky, which they can't see because they live in a kitchen sink. And then there's another group that believes, no, all that doesn't exist. We've always lived in this dark universe. And this has apparently been going on for generations. That house doesn't look that old.
Maybe that weird lightning rod thief made the kingdom come to be.
The kid he's just playing around in New Orleans. And he happens to step on a warehouse full of trademarked characters that I'm sure the filmmakers didn't get the rights to.
I think that this was guerrilla filmmaking at its finest. They're like, oh shoot, we don't have a permit, run.
And this guy shows up. He's like, hey kid, wanna buy a lightning rod?
Lightning rod. Protects your house.
So?
Sell it to you cheap.
No thanks.
Your house needs protecting.
Yeah, I said no thanks.
You don't understand. I'm trying to help.
Are you crazy?
This kid's like freaks out and runs away.
This guy just like, you wanna buy a lightning rod? And the kid's like, that and the guy chases him all the way home. Now that's creepy.
Yeah, no, that part's creepy, but what's weirder is the fact that the kid is running, and the guy is just walking,
He's
but
like
still
fast
somehow
walking.
keeping up with him.
Every once in a while though, in the middle of the story, we'll just cut to him still standing outside the kid's house with his lightning rod.
And here's the weird thing, okay, that kid, after freaking out about this guy, he walks in his front door and just like forgets about the whole thing like it never happened and starts drumsticking on the banisters.
This kid's so annoying. What kid does that? Like, so they find this kingdom under the sink, and the little people teleport them into their kingdom, because apparently they know how to do that, even though they don't know that they live in a kitchen sink. And as soon as they get there, you immediately find out about these kind of two religious factions, and one of them rules the kingdom, and the other one are the rebels, if you will. So then this kid is just kind of running through this town because he has no idea where the hell he is. When all of a sudden...
Excuse me? Lady?
So you find out this town is populated by eyeless people.
So, what's all this stuff about being perfected?
Oh, that's just a little technique we've developed. A way of improving ourselves.
Apparently their idea of making people more perfect are removing their eyes, okay, that's what the majority of people are, I don't know how they see, inserting metal plates into their faces, and turning them into dog people for hunting. And the kids see all this when they get teleported down there. And the teenage girl, the first thing she does when she arrives there is she hears about these surgeries and she says, "Oh, can you make me prettier?" And they're like, "Yes, yes we can."
She's just so lovely. Yes, yes, that's the word.
Yes, indeed. Lovely it is. I promise you, my dear, when we're through with you, you will have no complaints about anything.
Just step on this surgery table, young lady.
And there's like people like in the surgery room screaming and stuff, and she's just like, "I'm gonna be pretty. I'm gonna be beautiful."
I'm high as right now.
Are you gonna begin surgery now?
Whatever.
I was very confused about who this movie was made for because on the one hand, it does feel like one of these typical 90s kids movies with the goofy soundtrack, the silly kids going around, "Yeah, I'm the cool kid in the 90s flick." But then they throw in this weird stuff like the surgery experiments that are pretty terrifying.
Yeah.
If you're not expecting them. Like if I was watching Hellraiser, this would have fit right in. But I wasn't watching Hellraiser.
The box. You opened it. We came.
It has a lot of really creepy, scary stuff that actually was fairly typical for these kinds of fairy tale movies at that time. I remember when I first saw Labyrinth, I was creeped out from some similar kinds of puppet and makeup effects that they used in Labyrinth. So, you know, I feel like those types of like low budget fantasy movies were fairly common, and I used to watch them a lot because I love fantasy.
So there's a huge rescue mission, there's a big battle scene, and they have a communication device with the youngest son who is still in the house. Who for some reason, this kid has set up an army of little plastic green men.
Gotta feed the troops.
I thought he was going to somehow bring to life, because why else would you set that up?
It would have been so awesome if, like, all the army men got sucked in and then they came to life and the bad guys just got obliterated by an army of little green plastic soldiers. That would have been so amazing, and I was waiting for it to happen the whole time, and then it never happened. Instead, canned peaches happened.
Fire in the hole!
Your Grace, a shadow splits the air.
So they get transported back to their world. And they find out that the evil government's religion is based on... What was that even underneath the sink? Some pieces of electronic plumbing?
I don't know, Joe.
It was something under the sink that had a lightning bolt figure on it, and that was the basis of their entire religion. And the kids say, "Oh, let's put these two wires together and see what happens."
I wonder what would happen if we reattached the wire.
No!
And he nukes the little worm.
it's implied that they transported the world back to wherever it's supposed to come from.
You
looks...
tell them. You tell yourself that, Joe. You keep telling
because
yourself.
Because this is a kid's movie. We'll just say that's what happened. We won't say that he just wiped out thousands of lives.
It's gone.
Wrecked?
No. They've gone back home too.
They throw in this weird social commentary stuff. Like it acts like it's trying to actually mean something. Like someone wasn't happy with the way the government was going at the time. It says, I'm gonna make this movie. See, it is going to blow the doors off everything that's wrong with the U.S. government today. And he couldn't get a budget for anything more than this.
They're trying to teach kids this social commentary that I'm still trying to figure out what the message was. Because at first I thought it was like, religion is just created so that people can control you. So we have to throw off religion so that we can become free and learn that there is an outside world and not be restricted. That's what I thought they were trying to say at first. But then it turned out that the rebels also had a religion. It was a different religion. So I guess that their religion was better?
I don't know. It felt like if you had an episode of Arthur, and DW tripped and broke her leg, and her parents were like, well, I'm sorry, we can't afford healthcare, DW. So, Katie.
Yes.
What did you think of The Secret Kingdom?
That's like an hour of my life I will never get back. And it's taking up valuable space in my
More
brain.
like an hour and a half of your life.
Oh gosh.
I had fun with the what the f***ery of it.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of bizarre. Once the shock wore off, that all this stuff is kind of blended into this movie, and I was just trying to make heads or tails of it. I never have to watch it again, and I'm very happy of that. I'm not disappointed that I saw it, though. It's got some weird stuff in my head now that didn't need to be there, but at least I'm like, well, that was an experience.
And I guess one thing that made it bearable was that I really did not know what was going to happen. 1 minute I'm watching this 90s kid movie, the next minute there was this jump scare that just freaks the living daylights out of me. So I wasn't bored.
I wasn't bored.
That's my review of this movie. I wasn't bored.
Good night.
Good night.